Both sisters married into wealthy families, but one was adored by the entire village, while the other was relentlessly criticized. Surprisingly, the one who was most vilified was the one who truly married the right person. The two sisters, Hohat and Xinghua, were engaged on the same day, but the scenes were worlds apart. Hohat was betrothed to the young master of the Qin family, the richest family in the county. 8 luxury cars drove into the village, and the dowry was piled higher than the walls, filled with gold, silver, and jewels. Designer bags and large bank books filled the courtyard. The whole village praised Hohat for hitting the jackpot, promising her a life of ease. But Hohat didn't even raise an eyebrow, directly refusing. "I won't marry him," she said. The young master of the Qian family immediately changed his expression, asking him what he was so dissatisfied with. Hohat simply replied, "I have no heart for you." The matchmaker was so anxious she stamped her feet, cursing him for being utterly foolish, saying that if he missed this marriage, he'd never be able to hold his head high again. Just then, a man in faded factory clothes, riding a second-hand motorcycle, approached from the village entrance. His name was Shirtu. He was empty-handed, with a simple, honest face. He said to Hohat, "I have no luxury car, no dowry, and my home looks ordinary. Do you dare come with me?" Hohat nodded, picked up her cloth bag, and followed him. The whole village erupted in uproar, pointing at Hohat's back and cursing, saying she was destined to suffer for a life of hardship, destined to return to her parents' home crying, instead of being a wealthy wife. Her younger sister, Xinghua, grabbed Hohat and yelled, "Sister, are you crazy? The Qian family is powerful and influential. If you don't marry a penniless man, you'll regret it for the rest of your life." Hohat didn't turn around, only saying, "I have no regrets about the person I chose." Xinghua felt a surge of satisfaction and pride watching her sister being scorned by the entire village. She immediately accepted the Qian family's young master's marriage proposal, determined to be the most glamorous woman in the village, making her sister seem worthless in comparison. On the wedding day, the Qian family's motorcade stretched as far as the eye could see. Firecrackers blared down the street, and Xinghua, dressed in a haute couture wedding gown and adorned with jewels, stood at the entrance receiving everyone's compliments. She deliberately circled to Hohat's old building to boast, saying that her sister would spend her whole life squeezing into cramped apartments and doing manual labor, while she herself could live in a villa, hire a nanny, and enjoy a life of luxury. Hohat simply smiled faintly and didn't argue. Shirtu's house did indeed look ordinary, an old-style residential building with simple interior decoration, tools, and cardboard boxes piled in the corner. Xinghua followed her in to laugh, covering her nose and saying, "Sister, you live in this shabby place? You'll regret it later." Hohat didn't speak. Shirtu's mother came out of the house, dressed in simple clothes, with a kind face, and pulled Hohat to sit down. The table wasn't filled with simple food, but with seafood, roast duck, and stewed ribs, a table full of hearty dishes. Xinghua was stunned. Your family is so poor. How can you afford all this? Shirtu's mother casually remarked that their family's business wasn't worth much. During the meal, Shirtu pulled out an old cloth bag, opened it to reveal neatly bundled bundles of cash, and then handed Guihua a pair of Hitian jade bracelets. Guihua panicked, asking what they did for a living. Shirtu wiped the dust from his hands and told her the truth. His family didn't run a small-scale transportation business. They were in the entire county's logistics, warehousing, cold chain distribution, and e-commerce supply chain. The entire county's express delivery stations, warehouses, and truck fleet all belonged to them. They didn't like to show off, which was why they dressed simply and lived a low-key life. Guihua then realized she hadn't married a poor man, but a super rich man hidden in the city. On the other hand, Xinghua's good life after marrying into the Qian family only lasted for half a month before it completely collapsed. Her mother-in-law treated him like a servant, making him cook, clean, and serve the whole family before dawn. If anything displeased him, she would insult him, saying that he was a gold digger who came for money. Her husband spent his days indulging in drinking, gambling, and going to bars, squandering money. When he lost money, he would come home and beat Xinghua, using her as a punching bag. Xinghua wanted to go back to her parents' home, but was afraid of being laughed at by the villagers, so she could only hide in her room and cry every night. She hated her current situation and wanted to find an opportunity to humiliate her sister and regain her face. 6 months later, the county held its annual charity gala for entrepreneurs. Only top figures could attend. The Qin family, through their apparent business dealings, managed to secure an invitation. Xinghua, meticulously dressed and adorned with jewels, was determined to steal the spotlight and embarrass Ho-Hot in public. Upon entering the banquet hall, Xinghua immediately spotted Ho-Hot standing quietly in a corner. Ho-Hot wore a simple cotton dress, her face bare, without any jewelry. Xinghua rushed over, her voice echoing throughout the hall. "Sister, what are you doing here? Where's your poor truck driver? Did you sneak into freeload?" Ho-Hot, not wanting trouble, softly replied, "I came with my family." Xinghua ignored her, deliberately raising her voice to attract attention. Pointing at Ho-Hot, she shouted, "Look, everyone, this is my sister, married to a poor truck driver. She dares to come to such a prestigious event. She's a disgrace to our family." People gathered around, pointing and whispering, all believing Ho-Hot was there to freeload. Xinghua became increasingly smug as she spoke, then suddenly shoved Ho-Hot, yelling at her to get out and stop embarrassing herself. The shove caused a jade pendant in Ho-Hot's arms to fall to the ground. The jade was warm and translucent, clearly priceless. Xinghua's eyes instantly turned red, and she screamed, "Thief! This is my family heirloom. How dare you steal it?" Ho-Hot, her face pale with panic, hurriedly explained that her in-laws had given it to her, not stolen. Xinghua insisted that Ho-Hot was desperate and had stolen it, and immediately called for security, and wanted to arrest Ho-Hot and send her to the police station, and the people around echoed his sentiments. all believing Hohat to be a thief. Just as things were about to escalate, the head host of the banquet rushed over. Upon seeing Hohat, he immediately stopped, bowed respectfully, and shouted, "Head host, you've finally arrived. All the VIPs are waiting for you to take your seat." The entire room fell silent instantly. Everyone froze in place. Xinghua was especially dumbfounded, trembling all over, unable to believe her ears. The head host, a runner. How could the wife of a poor boy like me possibly be the host of this extravagant banquet? The organizers announced loudly to the entire audience. The entire county's logistics warehouses, cold chain centers, express delivery networks, chain stores, and charitable foundations all belong to Hohat's husband's family. This banquet was entirely funded by them. Mr. Schur is the largest shareholder behind the scenes, but he's a low-key person and never shows his face. Xinghua's face was ashen, but she still stubbornly shouted, "They're just pretending to be poor to deceive us." At that moment, Schur, riding his old motorcycle, slowly stopped at the banquet hall entrance. He gently pressed the handlebars, and the outer shell popped open, revealing a collection of limited edition, precision-engineered parts. The entire motorcycle was a custom-made model worth millions. Schur coldly looked at Xinghua. "I ride an old bike and wear old clothes because I value honesty and integrity, not because I'm poor. You only care about appearances and money, so you can only marry into an empty shell, living a life of cold, lifeless wealth." As soon as he finished speaking, the staff walked directly to the Qian family's side. Beforehand, she presented a debt note, revealing that the Qian family was already heavily indebted, owing large sums of money for logistics and goods, and all their assets were mortgaged. She was immediately disqualified from the banquet and kicked out. Then, Shirtu announced that his family would donate 30 million yuan to help the village repair roads, build schools, and open employment workshops, with Guihua in full charge of the matter. Finally, all the villagers who had previously cursed Guihua the most came to apologize and offer gifts. Guihua didn't hold a grudge at all and continued to treat everyone kindly, helping them solve their work and life problems. Xinghua sat on the ground, crying loudly, regretting her actions so much that she was heartbroken, but it was too late to change anything. She realized that the glamorous life she had desperately clung to was just a fragile bubble, while her sister, who had been cursed by the whole village, had chosen a truly honest, reliable person and had a truly stable and wealthy life. Don't judge a person by their appearance. Don't marry for their money. Kindness, reliability, and the ability to cherish are the most reliable qualities in life. Choosing a good person is a million times more important than choosing a wealthy family.